Hello YouTube vintage stereo collectors and restorers. I guess I don't need the shades on in the house. Hey, I got my happy mug of ground coffee. Hey, wanted to talk about something from yesterday. I was driving around doing some errands in the afternoon and listening to talk radio, and they were just at the end of a segment, and they were talking about summer jobs you've had. And I guess this year there's been a shortage of summer jobs, or maybe too many people, or not enough jobs, whatever. And some people have had to be kind of creative in what they do. And I remember back in the 70s, through the mists of time, when I was younger, back in the 70s, mid-70s, I say to my mom, what am I going to do this summer? I want to raise some money. I want to get a new bike. I want this. I want that. And she said, well, you need to get a job. I said, well, what kind of job? I've been looking at the ads. I've gone and applied to some. And in those days, applying for a job, you went there and you said, I'm interested in that job you have in the window. Or I saw it in the newspaper, you're hiring people. And they would say, okay. And how old are you? Where do you live? Just a few things like that. Maybe fill out a one-page form. And it was actually a lot easier. A lot of the jobs I got in those days, I never even filled out a form. Anyway, I said, well, I'm not having any luck. And she said, well, you can always buy a lawnmower, cut lawns, get a hedge trimmer. She goes, you'll figure something out. And I actually did figure something out. So I'm driving around yesterday and I'm hearing people call and say, oh, I was old enough to drive, so I bought an old pickup truck and I started doing landscaping. That kind of stuff. Been there, done that. But in those days I did something unusual. And none of my friends were doing this. I would go around looking for people that were throwing out radios, TVs, appliances, things like that. And on garbage day, I'd go around the different neighborhoods with my bike and be, oh, that's cool, you know, and you'd pick up really interesting stuff. A lot of 5-tube radios. And people hated throwing things out. So what they do is they put it on top of the garbage can so someone going by could see and say, oh, I want that. And got a lot that way for free. A lot of TV sets, and then I would fix them and resell them. And I'm talking about my early teens when I did this. But one story in particular, I was out one afternoon with some friends. We were over at a park and we were flying model rockets, which was Estes model rockets, big deal back in those days. And people didn't see, well, once in a while you get somebody complaining, and I'm trying to rest, I'm on shift work, and I keep hearing this go past my house, you know. I had one guy come and throw a beer bottle at us. But we're walking home, and out at the curb on one of the houses is an RCA Roundie TV set in a wood cabinet, a console. And it's like, it's just me and my little brother, and we're just like, well, let's carry this home. No, we could carry it, but not very far. Home was about 3 blocks. I said, let's go back, we'll get my wagon. So I went and got my jetliner wagon and tied it on the back of my bike and drove there. Every time I stopped, it would plow into the back of me. But then we tried to get this Roundie TV on the wagon, and it had those mid-century modern type of feet. It was too big for the small footprint of the wagon. And I said, there's only one way to do this. We got to get Dad to come with the car. He should be home really soon. So, okay, let's do that. And so, going home with this wagon, hoping nobody takes this beautiful television set. And we get home, and his car is here, and he was sitting in his chair watching baseball. He had just come home, just relaxing. Dad, I need your help with something. And I said, there's this really cool TV. I want to pick it up, fix it, and sell it. Okay, we need a car to do that. And he said, do you think you can get the car over the park, this thing in the car, and bring it back without anything happening? Yeah, I'm sure he can do that. Well, there's only one issue. I was 14. You need to be 16 to have a license. But I'd actually driven different cars since I was 12. Different time, right? And so he just handed me his keys and he said, be careful. And it was no problem. It was a big honking Mercury. He had a Marquis 72. And so we go over there, I stop, and we had to lift this thing, up over the bumper and lift the trunk and set it down in the trunk. It wasn't easy to do that. Got it home, took it out, got it in the garage. And my mom came home with some groceries. And she goes, what is that? I said, oh, it's just something, it's my summer job. I'm doing TV sets. And she's like, but actually, there's some free ads on different bulletin boards and stuff. And like very low tech. And my brother and I would work on different stuff. He'd do some of the cleaning, I'd do the electronics. I don't know how I figured some of these out. I'd bike to the library to get a schematic. Or there was actually, if I needed a tube or something, there's one store, Wireless Electronics, that still would test tubes. So I'd take out, all the tubes in whatever section I thought would be and take them over to Wireless Electronics and test them, and they'd sell you another tube. It was pretty interesting, and they sold. That was the thing. It would always be a family. It was just setting up, and like, we don't have a TV, or we only have this old black and white portable. We'd like a color, and I'd have it set up, ready to go in the garage with the rabbit's ears and running when they drive, and it'd be like, I'm only talking about like maybe $40 or $50. It was a really nice one, but that was I did that. I've always done that. I moved on other stuff, but I remember, I think the next couple summers, the summer was 15, I ended up working for one of my cousins doing landscaping. I did the lawns in my neighborhood, my grandparents' lawn, my parents' lawn, people across the street. I also had a newspaper route. I don't know how I had time to do anything, but that's kind of what you did, and by the time I was 15, it was like, I want a car next year. That was the thing. Anyway, I just thought you'd find that kind of a good summer story. And if you have anything to add, please go and do that. Thanks for watching and listening.